Good afternoon. Welcome to Two Gents Podcast. You got Ron Spikes, Pastor A.F. Riggins from A.F. Riggins Ministry, and you got Lachey, the number one winning coach down in Brazoria County. Her name is plastered everywhere. But I'm surprised she didn't put her last name on there because, well, she did right because she's now married. But that's our famous person, Sherman Simple's daughter. And we remember Big Simp. Simp always, if Simp wasn't cooking it wasn't right. I'm going to tell you the truth. If Simp wasn't cooking, it wasn't right. Am I right, Lachey?
And yeah, he was gonna cook.
She kind of bashful, y'all. She ain't bashful in person, but she ain't bashful. Let me just say this: she ain't bashful on the sidelines, for sure. Hey, A.F. Riggins, how are you doing this
How you
evening?
doing? Good, Ron. Glad to be on tonight.
All right. Well,
Looking
we're
forward to
not
this
going to
show.
hesitate. I'm waiting on Byron Glass. He hasn't called me and told me he's going to be late. So he must be doing something a little bit different. So I want to get in this because I told Shay I wouldn't keep her longer than about 15 minutes. So she's sitting in the car, and I want to make sure that we get this on. The subject today, youth are not just our future, they're now. And Pastor Riggins, I'm going to let you start it off, and I'm going to come in after you. And then Shay, I'm going to get you in and get you out of here because you haven't even finished up your day. And it looks, I can't believe it. I got Lachey Simple on the air.
I can't believe it either.
How's your husband?
Oh, he's doing good.
He must be busy. I see his outside stuff. Now I see the reason why he was traveling so much now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot
I
of
ain't going to
games.
tell it unless you tell it. I ain't saying nothing. I'm going to be quiet about it.
Well, everybody know now. We've been supporting Cam Ward since high school, so yeah,
Oh, that's
Yeah.
very great. That's very great.
yeah, yeah,
Now I
Very
say
great.
supporting. I mean,
Number
your
one in the
husband and
draft,
her have
NFL
been going
draft.
across the country, flying the games, showing up on Facebook, just putting in the map. It's like they crossed the country.
yeah.
But I didn't tell her. I didn't say it. You did. So I can open up now. Yeah, yeah. So, Pastor, you got any questions? And before we get into this,
No, it's very good to have Lachey on tonight, and we do remember Mr. Simp, her father, and all the times we shared back in the before when we were on Blog Talk Radio.
mm-hmm.
hmm
Also, it's good to be able to join forces with her and her husband tonight as they have supported or been involved with Cam Ward, who's the number one pick in the NFL draft this year, which means that this ties back to what our subject is tonight. Our youth is not just the future, our youth is now. One of the things I often say when even in the what we call the church setting, where I'm most familiar with, and also bivocational as being an educator for 26 years, I often say that the youth are not the church of tomorrow; they're the church of today.
hmm
Because if the youth are not the ones that we are promoting, we're training, getting them prepared for the future, then or right now, then when those of us who are of age, I'm in my mid-50s now, so I'm of age. Uh, uh, then when we pass on, when we become us ancestors, then we won't have nothing left behind us. And so it's very important that we target and put a vision out for our young folk to be able to be successful. Years ago, in 2002, I was able to found a group called Boys to Men. Of course, it sounds like the singing group, but it definitely was nothing to do with the singing group. It was just being able to impact teenage young men to help them become from adolescence to a man. And the things that we focus on and still focus on today are this: having a vision for life, positive peer pressure or positive influence, the right type of attitude, and what do you have to offer? If you have a vision for life, if you have the right positive people around you and involve the right positive people, if you have the right attitude, and if you can show what you have to offer, those four things go a long way in building a foundation for the future. So I hope tonight we can be able to talk about how we can impact our youth in this discussion.
All right.
Absolutely. And one of the things I want to say, I see them, Shay. Don't hide them nails. I see them.
Oh my God.
But anyway, I want to say this: Shay is involved in basketball big time in Brazoria County, and the real reason why I want to bring her on was to get her comments on how is she motivating the youth to get involved in sports and also in the classroom, and get her opinion in the classroom as far as Brazoria. Because I to me, what we're saying is, if we don't get him, and Shay is also a member of a church down there in Brazoria County. Her pastor, she'll tell you who his name is because I got a chance to meet him. So,
Mhm.
If we don't get kids involved in church at an early age, and I'm talking 13, 14, and 15, because those are the people that's going to be able to vote as we go along in this cycle. And when we have the next cycle of the presidential election, we're going to need those kids to come in and vote because it's going to be an older population. But if we stop involving ourselves in the youth right now, because we say, oh, they don't listen, they don't do this, and they don't do that. Evidently, they're doing something, because she's down there in Brazoria County and she's getting them to play basketball. She's getting them motivated. I saw that young lady that she had down there that won a lot of, they got a lot of recognitions. So
Yeah, she playing in the
Shay,
All-Star game on Saturday, actually.
Let me shut up and let her get started so she can get out of here.
No. Um, the interesting part about that is this is a conversation we've been having at church about how the older generation sometimes doesn't know how to speak to kids.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I wouldn't say that there's like a lack of respect, but like I think there's this bridge, this gap in between older people thinking like they don't have to respect kids,
Mm-hmm.
and there's still a way you still approach a kid because they're still they're human. And so I think a lot of times people at church, I feel like they forget they weren't always that age and they didn't always act the way they act now. And I think that scares some kids off. But I think it's just keeping that line of being honest. Like, I'm honest with my kids. Hey, one of the things I regret the most is when I played basketball, I had attitude and I made things hard on myself because I had an attitude. So that's why I'm trying to tell you now, like, contain your attitude. Don't be that person that people don't want to talk to or coaches not looking at because of your attitude.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the biggest thing for me really is just maintaining that level of honesty.
Absolutely. And please tell Pastor, he might know your pastor. I know about his name now, but
He probably
so,
does. Pastor Roland Hendricks.
I've heard of him. Yes, I've heard of him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, and that's one of the things. Say I don't know, what age do you think we should start questioning and asking kids about their voting and getting them involved in politics? Because sometimes they just get so far out there that you just can't reach back. And I know Pastor has some questions for you too, but if you could just answer that one for me.
I mean, I don't think there's nothing wrong with already talking to them about it. Think about how many kids graduate as seniors that are already 18. So this is something that they're walking right into. I know when I was in college, my very first election happened while I was in college.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're not already being educated on what's going on, you don't know what to vote for. And let's be honest, these elections nowadays, like everybody's vote counts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Pastor, I know you're out there. You got some
Yes.
questions for me.
Lachey, so
Mhm.
what age group are you able to work with right now in your sports and also in mentoring and influencing?
I coach high school girls. I'm the head varsity coach. I teach ninth grade math, so I teach Algebra 1. So I basically interact with kids from 14 through 18 every day.
Okay. Of course, I've been blessed to be able to, as I'm at an alternative school right now,
Okay.
that with age groups from 4th grade to 12th grade. And predominantly, I'm dealing with 9th through 12th grade students and some middle school students also in discipline. Talk to us and tell us what's the level of importance for academics versus sports?
They're equal.
They're equal?
The girls, kids who play for me, no. Without the books, it don't even matter. You don't even gotta talk to me. Like you gonna handle the books first because a sport could happen. You could tear your ACL, you could break your arm, and that sport is gone. But if you don't have something up top, what happens to you? And so I'm never pushing a sport over any academics, but I definitely use the academics to get kids to understand like it's gonna get you where you want to go. You have to be smart.
Yes. For instance, Travis Hunter,
Hmm.
who was taken second overall in the draft, right behind Cam Ward. And if you
Hmm.
want to, you can share with us about Cam Ward also, because I understand your husband was involved a little bit with that. So you can share with Travis Hunter was a 4.0,
Yeah.
4.0 student in college coming out of Colorado. Everybody talks about how you can play both sides of the ball, how he may be a receiver first and then a cornerback second. But the most important thing the young man has with him, because if he breaks his leg or if he whatever cannot play anymore, he has something that's going to be with him past
Hmm.
the football career. So that's very important when you're saying 1% of the students, 1% of the students who play in college sports actually go pro.
Hmm.
Am I right?
Yeah.
And then in high school, a lot of people, a lot of students, athletic career ends in
And
high
with the
school.
transfer portal, it's even crazier now.
Right. Yes. Right. Yes. So share with us a little bit more, and if you want to, even give us information about, the connections. We're not just talking to someone that knows what's going on. Someone that's naturally been involved with scouting or whatever. However, you connected to Cam Ward from Missouri County.
I don't have no connections like that.
Okay.
We've just known him since he was younger. Like one of my brothers, like they all went to high school together, so we've just watched him all the way throughout. And then my husband and his dad are super close, and so yeah,
Okay.
he's more connected.
All right. So
He
your husband
shared
more
that this
connected.
morning on
Mhm.
Facebook, and that's I really didn't want to get into that because I
But
know
see,
how
the
Shay was sharing.
reason why I brought it up, because see, a lot of times the credibility of who we're talking with and the connections, because a lot of people, all they like to do is see clips or reels, or uh, oh, and then that catches their attention to draw them and
They
say,
don't
oh,
understand being in the trenches.
yes, right, right.
Yeah.
That's all I'm trying to do. That's why I brought that up, Ron.
And that's what I tell my girls all the time. Like when I tell them to watch a game, oh, I didn't see the game. I just watched the highlights. I was like, highlights are that's exactly what they are. A highlight. That's what they want you to see, the good part of it. I was like, you need to see when they was down 10 with 2 minutes left, how they fought
Mm,
through the adversity and came back. Like, I think that's the biggest thing with our generation. They're so used to everything being so instant and so given that when things get hard, they freeze.
Right.
mm-hmm.
And stuff
And
gets hard.
right. And based on what you just said, this generation has a high propensity. That's the word I'm trying to say. I get tongue tied, Ron.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Propensity for anxiety.
Hmm.
This generation has a high rate of suicide because they don't understand how to endure in the midst of hard times. They
Yeah.
want everything to be given to them. And so while we're trying to get them to get involved to vote, while we're trying to get them involved to be involved in the community and to be successful, we also got to look at how can we help them with their emotional and mental health. Let me explain something to you. The COVID pandemic has layers to it.
Mm,
The COVID pandemic has layers to it.
mm-hmm.
The actual sickness of the disease was one layer.
Mm-hmm.
Another layer was the social distancing. Another layer was insecurity of, hey, in any moment, something could show up in our lives that could take away 1 million people.
Mm-hmm.
And so these young folk that lived through this,
Hmm.
from the ages of maybe 7 or 8, they understood to now, they got a lot of backlash and a lot of stuff inside of them of trying to bounce back from that.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen or experienced that also?
But yeah, it's a lot with it. And even just the gaps. Like I teach algebra 1 and there's a lot of things that they are taught in 5th and 6th grade that are the foundations for what I do. And we're still like closing the gap because, they didn't go back to school that 1 year after spring break and they started the first year virtually. And so, oh yeah, like we're still seeing the aspects of COVID in the school.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay. Ron, you got some other things you want
No,
to
I just
ask?
want to say one more thing. It's amazing because as I listen to you, Shay, and I listen to Pastor Riggins, it's a lot of factors the reason why our kids are where they at right now. But one of the things that I still see people trying to instill in them is church.
Hmm.
But I think the perspective of what they do in church is different than when we grew up. You know, we put them right on the front aisle, or we sit right next to our parents and we listen to the minister's message in the church versus going to kid ministry and all the rest of that, sitting back playing games and not really knowing what the message is that's going on in church. And I think that we miss that part because it also taught you discipline too when you were sitting there because you're going to absorb something. You're going to be quiet and you're going to learn how to sit down and you're going to learn how to respect your elders and stuff like that. I think that that's kind of missing in the
I think
perception of.
children. I think some of the children's churches though have gone because I know when I was little, I felt like it was just like you said to play games. But I know at our church and a church where one of my really good friends works in the children's ministry, they actually are doing real lessons and like it's not that old school like we're gonna play a game, we're gonna eat a snack. Like they are
Hmm.
instilling some things, and you can tell with some of our kids that they're getting something when they're in there. I think
Yeah.
it's just a matter of like continuing to just show it. So bringing the church to something like more real to the kids, like on a
Hmm.
on a level. Because I mean, I know when I was a kid, sometimes the message would completely go over my head.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that we can have them go sit in there, but if they don't even know what they listening to, sometimes that's the good thing of some children's ministry. I feel like if they're done right.
Yeah.
I agree with Lachey at this point. One of the things, me being a PK, like Ron, I had to sit on the front bench.
Hmm.
And then after becoming a preacher, though, a pastor, one thing my dad taught me was preach a sermon that an 8-year-old can understand. But a lot of
Hmm.
preachers don't do that because they
Right.
get caught up in the homily, in the homiletics, in other words, in the delivery, in trying to prove the theology, and it's way over the kid's head.
Uh-huh.
So, but if they could sit in part of the service, maybe the praise and worship, maybe it's other stuff where they learn how to be still, how to be involved, how to lift their hands, how to clap, how to enjoy the songs, and then be taken out.
Hmm.
There's the balance there. I like that,
Hmm.
the balance there. Taken out into a lesson that's on that level.
That's
But
how ours is.
right, outside of the actual Sunday morning or Wednesday night church thing, where the church really needs to be at is in the community.
Hmm.
Back in the day, the community raised the kids. In other words, if I walked down the street and I was caught doing something wrong, the neighbor can call my parents on that phone on the wall that ring like that, or finally had the push dial and say, Little Riggins was down here doing something he had no business doing. My parent believed the neighbor, even if the neighbor was lying, but the neighbor would not be lying. I ain't come on with all kind of stories. They wouldn't hear me because the neighbor said I was doing that.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Now the neighbor even had the ability to spank me or discipline me on the spot.
Hmm.
Once I got home, because the neighbor had to straighten me out, mama straightened me out. And then when daddy got home, because mama had to straighten me out, I got a third whipping. Now, of course, we don't want to hear about all of these days. Matter of
Hmm.
fact, I've been in situations now as an adult where I've tried to talk to a parent about their kid doing something wrong. You know what the parent do? Want to question my integrity of whether I'm telling the truth or not.
Yeah.
And in a case like this, it happened one time, and the parent was questioning me, and lo and behold, about within an hour or so, somebody else caught the kid doing something that was out of line and verified that what I was saying was true.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Because a lot of times nowadays, people want to try to take up for their kids instead of disciplining their kids. Let me explain something. Discipline is training. Correction, punishment is correction. If we discipline and train our kids, it'll be a less punishment correction that we need for our kids.
Hey, Pastor, I know what you're doing. I see Shay looking out there, probably Derek standing out there. What you doing? Who
Oh
you
no,
talking
there
to
was
in the
like
car?
there was
Is
a
she
random
looking
car
off?
passing by us. That's why I was looking. Nah, I agree. Like there's this weird thing where like you can't get to people's kids. Like even at school, like if I call and say, "Hey, your child was doing this in class today," well, what was y'all doing in class for this to happen? Well, ma'am, like this is math. Like we was doing math. Like just trying to get them to understand that your child still needs to be able to function in this setting.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kids these days, I'm in an alternative school, but if they're in a what we call a homeschool,
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you start getting on them, they'll take their cell phone and try to text or call their parent and tell them the teacher. I've had in middle school for like 20-some years, I've had it where all of a sudden I get a phone call from the principal to my class saying so-and-so mama just called and said they text and said that you doing this to their kid. Wait a minute. All I did was just made them sit down and do their work. But then got upset and told mom, and now mom called the school, what is Mr. Riggins doing to my kid in that classroom over there?
Wow.
Yeah, this was in middle,
Yes.
I'm just telling you, this was back like 2013, 14, 15. But this is what these students have learned to try to do, is try to take the narrative away from the teachers themselves. Hey, look at BG, Baron Glass.
Hey, I wanted BG to see Lachey. I'm glad he's on. I know you're gonna have some noise in the background, but say hello to Sherman Simple's daughter. No, take it off of there. I want to hear you. Oh, he got his sunroof open. He trying to shut out.
No. I don't want to be unprofessional. Hey, how you doing? Good seeing
How you
you.
doing?
Love you. Miss your dad. I wish the very best for you. Let us know. Run. I don't want all this back noise in the back, so I'm just gonna listen.
That's all I wanted. And
Okay.
I was waiting on you to get on so I could let her go because I know she has other stuff.
Well, I'm driving back from Baton Rouge. You know, I was down there all day, and
Yeah.
I'm just not. Yeah, I'll be back. I'll be home in about 30 minutes.
Shay, let me tell you that was he was down in Baton Rouge handling some legal business down there, and man, I didn't know what happens in the state government, but Glass taught me a lot today because I was watching. Even afterward, I was listening. I was like, they can do some work in the government. Instead of sitting around what ain't happening, they can accomplish some things because those people were bringing amendments up and everything, and people were commenting on it, and people that agree. It wasn't all that hoopla and hollering and stuff. But Shay, I'm glad you got a chance to see Byron Glass, and I wanted him to be surprised. I wanted him to see you. Is there anything you would like to add before you go? Or Pastor Riggins, is there anything you would like to ask her before she goes? Because I promised I wouldn't keep her on that long.
Tell me, so what for next year or in a few months or so, what are you projecting for your young ladies that you're working with? Do you do AAU? Do you have a vision for what you're going to do? It's a group of young ladies. Maybe you're able to mentor that you maybe could share with our audience to give other people ideas, other coaches or other young women who are trying to, or young men who are trying to mentor African American or people of color.
What we have going on right now, we're out of season. We finished in February. A lot of the girls are playing like AAU. Right now, school wise, just still implanting those seeds. Like, we're not playing basketball. You may not play for me every day, but I'm still here. I'm still the same support that I've been. And like I said, that's the biggest thing for this generation, being intentional, being honest. And if you're gonna be there, be there. Like, I don't think they need any other people who are in and out. Like, if you're gonna commit to mentoring a kid or being a part of a kid's life, like, be consistent with it and be honest. And that's where I am. We'll pick our season back up in November, and hopefully making another playoff run is the goal.
I want to say thank you, Shay. I really appreciate you. You really just don't know how much this means. And me and Byron Glass had already discussed something. I called your husband to get permission on it. So I'm just gonna tell you, we got something that we're gonna do for Big Simp soon. We're gonna give recognition to Big Simp soon. This was just so important. The only person that I could really think about that I could talk to, if I can talk, is trying to reach out to you, and you responded, and I'm so glad to have you on. And thank you. And don't make this your last time. I know you're busy, and Derek gonna keep you in the kitchen. No, I'm just joking.
He picked up food while I was at the gym, so
I'm
no.
just messing with you because I know y'all, both of y'all have a busy life. So
Yeah.
so thank you. I appreciate it. And you're welcome to. You can just cut off your telephone. I'll
right.
let you know if you still have something on the air. I'll text you. But
Okay.
I think the only thing you have to do is shut off the air, and then you good.
All right. Well, thank
Appreciate
y'all for
you.
having me. Nice to meet y'all.
All right. Take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Pastor, that was
Yes, sir.
Sherman Simple's daughter. And I seen the smile on Glass' face. It brought back memories. I mean, it was times that we had discussions with her father, and her brother, and I'm gonna say it. Her brother's name, his brother's name is Fat Rat. It took me forever to understand that. It's something that they called when he was little. They had to explain that on the show. I said, ain't no way in the world I'm gonna call a grown man Fat Rat. And they just laughed. They said, no, that's what we call them. So I went with that. So Pastor, I'm glad that we got a perspective on what was going on in the world, and it just shows you how close we are to people in this world. You never know how close you are. That's one person away from the person that was drafted #1 in the draft. And as her husband said this morning on Facebook, he said that Cam's father is the person that he goes to for all of his advice on anything.
Wow.
Since he lost his dad.
6 degrees of separation, as they call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was only one.
It's on the way.
Only one.
Yes, sir.
Most of the time, when you're talking to people in the world and you can't, you feel like you're not part of them. You're so far away. They don't understand what you're going through. This just shows you. I can tell you, they're from West Columbia, and I'm proud of this young man because he came a long way. But we're gonna get to your other subject that you want to touch on. But I want to stay here with the youth, and I want if Byron, if you can lean in just a little bit and just give us a perspective on what you was talking about the youth and why we on this show. Just a quick synopsis if you have that ability. Don't have no wrecks on my part. I can't take care of that car with that sunroof. That look kind of expensive.
He's just driving that Jag, probably.
I guess he can't do it. He's driving in traffic, so I'm good. I got you. All right, Pastor. So
let's stay with the youth. We got to stay with the youth.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay right here. I ain't going nowhere.
You're right. I don't know what other subject you're going to talk about tonight because it's going to take another whole show to talk about what I want to talk about on the other subject.
Okay. Let's
stay right here with the youth
because I
tonight.
think if we don't include the youth right now, we're gonna miss out on a lot of things that's going on in the world today. And in this thing, if we don't get to them early enough, like now, if we don't, even if their parents are listening to this podcast right now, if we don't get to them early enough and they don't take that message back to somebody else, and as Byron always said, we just trying to reach one. And if one of them can take the message back to their church or try to get them to go about changing things within the church, we're gonna miss a whole generation.
Let me tie it back to what we're talking about.
Okay.
All the books, a lot of the books that MAGA, the conservative right, that are trying to ban, has history, cultural, and implications that affect people of color. Sounder, book I read. Books by Maya Angelou. Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry. Color Purple. A whole list of books that are being banned in many states like Florida, Texas, and other Republican-ran states. That's to impact our youth, to take away, disconnect them from their history and culture. Going into the textbooks and turning slavery into a servant that got paid with food and housing, that wanted to be a slave. Okay. Let me go farther. Now they're proposing, can we take out a Head Start? Defund Head Start so that young African-American and Hispanic American people of color for 4 years old cannot be educated formally like they should. So this is why we as a community, let me tell you what, I used to have what you call a rites of passage program. Besides the Boys and Men program, there's a rites of passage program on Saturday mornings. Same concept. Domestic education of African-American boys uh, several books on how to become a black man or African American man. You say, well, Pastor, why are you talking about that? Because that's what I am. I'm an African American man. And bring the boys over to a church, and they would study. We would study from those books, and then we would do military drills. Why military drills? Because military drills gives them a foundation of discipline. Can you stand still and listen? Can you turn to the right when we say right face? Can you turn to the left when we say left face? Can you do about face? Can you forward march in sync? Can you be at attention and listen, or do you have to be running all over the place and can't be in line? Okay. Then we also had where they had to learn how to compete against one another in things which was made sense instead of fighting and trying to beat each other up. But can we compete with sports? Can we compete with tug of war? Can we compete with the mind? Games that included, questions and answering and debating, rites of passage. This, if the school not going to do it, if the government don't do it, the church or the community have to do it.
Absolutely.
They have to do it, because otherwise TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube are training our children. And then they pick what they want to see that's getting their interest. And a lot of it's nothing but a bunch of foolishness. That's what we're getting back with this. But if they're taking away what they should read and trying to change the narrative of what our history is, and then not want to educate them, it becomes our turn to do this for our youth, because they are the now, not just the future. Now, because in third grade, if they can't read, that's how many prison beds they're building. In third grade, if you cannot read, that's how many prison beds they're building. That's the 13th Amendment. What's the 13th Amendment? All African Americans are free from slave labor unless they're incarcerated.
Absolutely.
All persons shall be free from slave labor unless they're incarcerated. So in third grade, if you cannot read, by the sixth grade, you're already stealing out of Walmart. You're trying to know how to get a quick lick, because you feel like you to make money, you got to do something that's going to give you a quick lick, because you're not getting your education. By ninth grade, you're doing stolos, stealing cars. By the time you're supposed to be graduating, you're in a full syndicated either gang or some kind of ring of crime. And before you know it, you're doing time. And once you're doing time, you're now a slave. Because now the 13th Amendment don't apply to you because you're incarcerated.
So they turn into modern day slavery.
Modern day slavery.
They're working for free.
School to prison pipeline.
Absolutely. Hey,
before
we go any further, we got two people out there. I don't know who gave them this link, but one is named Sean and one is named Tyrone Tolliver. I got enough room to bring you into the show, but you need to cut on either a camera or a mic. And if you cut on your mic, I can bring you in and let you make a comment. Because that's the only way that you got the link to come in. Somebody had to invite you in. So Sean or Tyrone Tolliver that's out there, we would love to hear you. And if you don't want to be on the air, just cut on your mic and we'll let you in.
Hey, Ron, they just listen. They don't want to come on the mic.
Okay, that's cool. I just want to acknowledge him. I'm good. I figured that one of us that gave him a link, I didn't know who. So, Pastor, I just want to add, you have something you want to say?
Instead of getting the YouTube link, they got the StreamYard link some kind of way.
I guess
that's how it right. Yes.
He said they just want to listen, so he came in and told me real quick, so that was good. I'm okay. I'm okay. But if at any time, if y'all want to say something or disagree with something that we say, just push that mic button and cut it on. You can come in, and we don't even have to see your face. We'll be all right. I'm just letting you know. Pastor, I agree with you, but I think that we have to reach. I agree with you, and I'm not disagreeing with you. When I say but, I want to make sure that I clarify that but. But I think that we have to reach them where they're at, and there's so many of us that's our age. I know I was confused by that Kendrick Lamar halftime. I wish I would have got a chance to ask Lachey about it, but I didn't get a chance to ask her how did she feel about it? And anybody that's out there, I was lost. That's the reason why it's so important. That I think that's the reason why Byron came up with this show, because we need to learn how to communicate. Now, if I remember correctly, my memory is coming back. The reason why we having this show is because Byron was talking about we don't understand how come the youth are wearing hoods in the sun in the summertime. The message that they're trying to show or the message that they're trying to deliver. I'm sorry, and we miss it. Because I used to always tell my kids, hey, it's hot out there. Why you got that hoodie on?
Baron, why do they have on the hoodie? Just come in real quick and tell them why they're wearing the hoodie. Now I'll expound on it.
He might be in traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no. What I want to do is let the show remain professional. Me driving is probably not appropriate, but I'm gonna give you for instance. We were kind of dealing with some students and just sitting back listening to what they were saying. I know I got some back noise going on, and we had an individual that had the hoodie on, and they said, if y'all ever really just sat down and talked to someone to find out why they were wearing the hoodie, well, one of them said that they wore a hoodie because they were always hiding their feelings because nobody never asked them how they felt. One of them said that they was wearing a hoodie because they was the facial complexion was not what they thought because people always called them ugly. And so those are just two examples. Like I said, I don't want to go. I should have about another 15 minutes and I'll be able to come on live. But Ron, I'm the perfectionist, kind of what I want. I got all that back noise. But my point is that we're making too many judgments, and it's making us more of the foolish kind than it is the person that has wisdom. Again, we have to learn how to meet. Briggins, you know this more so than anybody. We have to meet those kids where they're at, then take them somewhere else. We can't take them somewhere else if we don't meet them where they're at.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So I'm glad that I wanted to hear from him that from Baron Glass that students actually told him this. So it sounds like to me, some students, like when I was growing up, I had some insecurities. What I had insecurities about? From 6th grade to about the 10th grade, I felt like I was smaller than everybody in my class. I graduated high school weighing 125 at 5'7". Went to college weighing 130, so I felt like I was little. Okay? I felt like these freckles was something that was negative, not positive at the time. So in my mind, I wanted to hide. Nowadays, kids will demonstrate those insecurities. Body shaming, put a hoodie on. Feel like that their complexion not right, put a hoodie on. Want to hide from the world, whether they feel like they're being mentally oppressed or bullied, put a hoodie on. And then I'm gonna tell you the third one, it's a fad. And if it's a fad, everybody want to do it. Just like when everybody wear members only back in the 80s. Remember members only jackets? Y'all remember that?
That old.
Oh, no, man, you are. You older than me. You know what I'm talking about. Members only and Guess jeans, right?
Parachute pants.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So they want to fit in because everybody else wearing the hoodie, right? It's part of it. So when we try to approach them to let them know, okay, now watch this. The bigger culture, those who want to be in control, a predominantly Anglo-American society say, take the hoodie off. In the classroom, watch this, at school, for safety reasons. Because a lot of times you can hide stuff in the hoodie. Whether it be drugs, whether it be vape, cigarettes, a weapon, it's why we say take it off. But if that's not explained to the student and understand that for their own safety and good, there's certain rules, then it becomes a conflict between the authorities, those in charge, and the youth. Finally, just about a hoodie. That was the whole issue with Trayvon Martin. Trayvon Martin walking around with a gray hoodie on, right? With a Sprite and some what? Was it
Skittles.
Skittles. And self-made, neighborhood watch, wannabe, and I'm gonna say from what I experienced from the whole deal when we lived it, racist. George Zimmerman. Why was he racist? He had the power. He discriminated and hating, and he had the power to take a 14-year-old boy's life. And he's walking around with a cell phone, Skittles, a beverage, and a hoodie.
Absolutely.
It's cutting off our. That is an example of cutting off our future. Because at 14 years old, come on, the Jews have a bar mitzvah when a man becomes a man. At 14 years old, in Africa, there are rites of passages where somebody become a man. At 14 years old, Native Americans let a brave, have his vision and become a man. At 14 years old, I got my call to the pulpit ministry, even though I ran for 2 years. He's gonna make me preach tonight. What I'm trying to say is they cut off his life because somebody didn't understand who he was or didn't want to understand. It was just another African American, another black boy dead in the streets that never got justice.
Absolutely. And Byron, if you want, I'm just gonna remove you from the stage because I see you turn. You can still listen in, but I know how you are. You want the show to go on, and Byron's in this car, and I'm gonna repeat what Byron always says when he's on the air. None of us are getting paid for this. We're trying to share this knowledge to try to help. If Byron said, if we can just reach one, I'm all right with it. You don't hear us out here begging for money. You don't hear us out here passing no offering plate. We're just sharing knowledge, and as we come across something in life, like Byron, we was talking last week. He said, "No, Ron said I want to hold this to next week because I want us to do a whole show on it." And what he was talking about was the wearing the hood. He said we don't understand how to express ourselves to our kids, and we're not relating to them. We're not getting to them. We're not making any type of sense because it didn't happen when we were their age. We wasn't wearing hoodies. Our mothers wouldn't let us come in the house with hoodies. I remember a time that you couldn't wear that my mother wouldn't even let me come in the house with a hat on. She'll tell me, no, men don't wear hats in the house. They don't do that. And if you went to, and I'm gonna break it down a little bit further, because if you went to see a young lady and her husband and her dad was at home, don't think he won't tell you, son, you need to take that hat off in my house. When you come through, and I look at men today, and it's kind of strange because I'm just not used to it. I see men with their hat on in the church. And I'm like, bro, I can't follow it. It's out of respect. I guess that respect, that's something that was instilled in me, even in the military when I was there. They don't allow you to wear your cover in the building. And I don't know, that must be a sign of respect that some people are not taught. But those people my age, so I know they were taught that.
Ron, I think we're the Gen X, born in the late 60s to early 80s, and then there's the millenniums, and then Gen Z. The Gen X generation tried so hard to change from the baby boomers. It's how we begin that slide down that slippery slope of losing some fundamental principles in life. Baby boomers bought their kids a church. Gen X put them on the bus or the van to go to church. Millenniums was on that van and bus and said, I'm not going to church no more. Gen Z said, what is church? Gen Z think church could be just going to the movies, going to a trail ride, going to a concert. In other words, church to them is like having another event, like going to a party. It's just that the content is different. Not knowing that church is the foundation and the substance of who we are as human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the congregation or the building, it's the actual relationship that we need to build with our Creator. And I'm not here to preach a sermon, but I'm here to say that if we don't get back to the foundation of who we are, then everything else that the students or the kids or the youth are dealing with will be lost in translation, just like we're lost in translation about the hoodies. Life is lost in translation with them. That thing life is about TikTok, Fortnite, Special Ops, Grand Theft Auto 5. Come on. 2K, the basketball game, or John Madden. That thing, you know, all these games they're playing, all this social media involved in. And that's what they think life is about. And they're desensitized to what really life is really about, or don't have even a drive to go out there and say, listen, either I'm gonna go to college or trade school or learn how to make my own business so I can get paid instead of begging for money from somebody else or taking money from somebody else.
I agree with you, but Pastor, this thing is a lot deeper. I think it's a lot deeper because if we don't reach this generation and show them that just because you do something on the stage, just to execute something doesn't mean that is right. It doesn't mean that it's right. Just because you see Donald Trump up there signing executive orders, when you see the Democrats trying to go about doing it the right way and they wouldn't take that approach, what you have to realize and what our youth have to realize is that man is basically saying, I don't care what you think. I don't care what you do. I'm gonna do it this way. And you're gonna have to follow what I got in place. And you brought up another thing that I really agree with, is if you don't give our youth something to do after school, during school, and you don't motivate them to get into the job force, instead of having all these big businesses make these donations to the presidential election, how about having them pick up a school or two and try to get some interns to come in? Because when I was in school, we had interns going out to NASA. We had interns going out to Brown and Root. They're no longer in business. But these were major corporations within Houston where they took kids and brought them in there to at least give them an idea of what they had the ability to do. Now, I'm going to tell you, right now, it's hot in Houston. We're going to need air conditioning repairs. If your plumbing go out in your house, you're going to need somebody to fix your plumbing. And I said this a while back. And when I said it years ago, what they told me, we need to get them in college. Well, sending them to college is good. I don't disagree with that at all. But everybody's not going to go to college. And we need to get something to free. I want to say free, because if you take it and put it into a community college, you're putting them back in debt. When I was in high school, we had those programs within the school. But you have to give them something to strive for. And Pastor, I thought about this a while back, and I never shared it with anybody, but I'm going to share it on there right now. Maybe after a child graduates from school, maybe we need to have them on a 2-year service plan or something, go into service to get a direction if you don't want to go to college. Now, if you don't have the grades to go to college, that's a great way to get you a direction in life. And we need to, somehow that seems to be the only way we're going to save our youth. Germany's like that. There's a couple other countries that's like that. If you're not going to school, they don't make you stay in the service, but they try to give you some direction. And I'm sure some of them get kicked out because they don't want to listen. But at least we can put them on perspective of understanding that they have to be a productive citizen.
Yes, sir. I think in the past, they used to give Job Corps, Peace Corps, or military. Either one of those areas in which you go and get involved in doing something, because your mind is still in development. Your vision is still trying to come to fruition of where you want to go with your life. Something or someone can impact you in one of those areas, Job Corps, Peace Corps, or military, that can give you the foundation you need to launch if you want to go back to college or go to a trade school. In other words, for instance, if you're at the college and you learn to be a business manager or a teacher or a doctor, you cannot practice any of that stuff if the water not running in the building or if the AC is off. So for every doctor, teacher, lawyer, business manager, there ought to be what? HVAC, plumbers, construction builders,
beauty shops. As a matter of fact, I got one more, Pastor, that I just seen. Surgical hygienists.
Yeah.
They don't need a degree because they're responsible for the tools that go into surgery, and that's something that they can teach. But if we don't put our kids and we drop them off because they don't get past the 10th grade or something like that, and then we expect them to go out there and rob. We don't expect them to go out there and rob, but they go out there and rob something. They ain't gonna pay their bills for a week. There's something wrong with it. Their perspective is not correct. So we have to give them an opportunity to be better than where they're at. Air conditioning pays a lot. You don't believe me? Let your air conditioning go out and see how much they charge you to get it fixed. Plumbing pays a lot. Let your plumbing go out and see what happens. Even computer skills, basic computer skills, to get a computer fixed today costs a lot. So you can teach that to a kid where they can see themselves being a productive citizen. Then if they decide to go to college because they wanted to do something, they see what that's about, they can get through college with those skills.
Also, computer programming, coding, all the games and stuff they're playing, all the stuff they get involved in, watching social media. Behind the scenes, people are coding, programming, a lot of money involved in it. Don't just be a consumer. Learn how to make money off the consumer. See? Don't just, let me put down real simple. Don't just eat ice cream, know how to make the ice cream and sell it. See? Don't just play the games and buy the games and waste money when playing the games online. Learn how to become a gamer or a game builder. Whatever it is that interests you, young people need to get involved to learn how to prepare themselves to be successful.
And I just want to say, speaking of computer repairs, I don't know what's going on with the signal in my house, but it's still good. We still connected. I got one bar out there. I got to figure out how to get this done. Maybe I need to go take me a college class or something. I need to go sit in a college class or something, because I'm having problems with my computer and my mic. But it tells me on my telephone on the computer that my signal is weak, and I can't understand it because I'm about 10 feet away from my modem. So I don't want to take away from the show. But we need to do something with our youth. We need to get them involved in certain things around that they can relate to. We also, Pastor, I'm going to say this. I'm going to add this. If you can teach them how to do measurements, they can build houses. If you can teach them how to since this is a true statement, don't nobody get offended. There's less landscaping people out there too. If you can teach them how to walk behind the lawnmower, they can make a good living.
Yeah. I'm telling you, growing up, let me tell you something. In my neighborhood, one of the neighbors was a landscaper. And all of his sons, or most of his sons, because they're like 10 children, at least 4 or 5 of his sons every day jumped off that bus and went to go work to be a landscaper. My brother, one of my youngest brothers, started working with him. This is my brother is now. My brother became a master teacher, got a master's education, a master teacher, taught for about maybe 15 years or so, and said, I'm tired of this. Between my dad being in construction, my dad was a licensed plumber, a licensed electrician. When he went back to school, he turned around and taught shop at school and did special ed after he put us all through school. But my brother picked up the skills from my dad and that guy who worked from landscaping. Now my brother has his own construction company. They can build you a house, a church, anything from ground up. He don't have to touch a hammer. Because he has crews working upon him that knows all this stuff they can do. But he had got what? He had, from a teenager, he was involved in it. And then he watched my dad do things, everything from concrete to roofing and all that stuff. And then with his education background, he's able to what? Put his own company together. And now he's a contractor. See? Myself, when I was in high school, my dad had got a contractor job. They built an apartment complex in the city. He got the contract for the interior carpentry. So for about maybe 9 months or so, I would get off the bus, go, state don't get on the bus, rather, because we live 5 miles out of town. Get on my bicycle or walk down to the apartment complex my dad was working and learn how to do interior carpentry. Did I ever take it up? No, I didn't. But one thing I learned was, hey, look, manual labor is manual labor. So if you want to do manual labor, go do something else, not to do manual labor. But my brother and I, with our own lawnmower service since we were 13 and 12 years old. Anybody in the neighborhood that was around my grandmother, them, or all the way down to the street to the church and everything, we had 2 lawnmowers. Hook us up, $20 a piece. We was blowing people's yards. Why? We was hustling with an honest living, but also learning, listen, we don't want to mow grass all our life. Last thing I'm gonna tell you, and I'm gonna let
I see
Byron Glass come in.
I know we're coming up on 4 minutes. I want to let Byron Glass get in here before we get off the other air. But I'm gonna come back because I want Byron to kind of elaborate so we can have this on the stream. It's gonna be on this stream, but I want to, before we get off of Instagram, I want to make sure that Byron Glass gets back in.
No, Ron, y'all did a fantastic job. Of course, Riggins, always compliment, what's needed. I just feel like, we always talking, and I've been guilty of that myself. I think to a certain degree, to a large degree, we're not doing our very best. We're doing more criticizing than understanding. We're doing more finger pointing at others than pointing the finger back at ourselves. We know what our problems are. We're not doing anything to solve them. Again, you can't expect a kid to know something if he's never been taught. And we can use the example that, well, you can't talk to him. Well, yeah, you can talk to him. You just got to find a way to talk to him. You got to meet him where they're at, like I said earlier. So, and I'm picking all this up, Riggins, having a unique position from the education side and on the other side, of the law. I find myself sometimes stepping back rather than doing the talking, do the listening. Okay. And eventually, if you listen long enough, they're going to tell you where they're at. And then you have to be wise enough to pick up. You can't, it's like a baby, Riggins. You can't give them the bottle too soon. If you give them the bottle too soon, or if you give them the nipple too soon, it's going to cause some problems. And I said all that to say, we're responsible for a lot of things that have happened, throughout this last 30, 40, 50 years. Again, some of us, they know who they are, we know who we are, have not done everything that we could have done. We have not done everything that we should have done. So for me, I felt like we're always talking about, elections and all these other things, but we're never talking about what's most important, which is that future generation. Riggins, you're in the classroom with all types of kids. I see you out there riding your horses with them. I see you developing them to at least having a foundation. They may not go the way that you're going. They may not go off and be this illustrious pastor. They may not be one of these guys that have longevity, in the religious aspect, but you are teaching them what respect is about. You are teaching them the things that society expects out of them. You're giving them a foundation. So if they fail, they can't say that they didn't have a great mentor that provided them some tools that they needed. So even if they're not getting it at home, even if they're not getting it in the community, if they listen to two gents, live, if they go back and listen to the archives, if they listen to Pastor Riggins on Wednesday nights when he's doing his, religious broadcast, you got to be multidimensional. And again, I'll use myself for an example. I found that when you listen to those kids more and more and more, and Ron, I think if you saw the little young kid down at the legislature testifying with us. 13 years old. 13 years old, Riggins, kid that's facing a Senate panel, a representative panel, providing information. We don't do that with our kids. We won't even make them get up in church. We won't even make them go to the store and figure out why they're going to the store, what they're getting at the store to check. You know, so we can continue to blame, point the finger, but we got to start dealing with ourselves. Ron, appreciate you having the show tonight.
Yeah. And Pastor,
I'm gonna
I
add
know
to
you
what
want to comment on that. Go ahead.
I'm gonna add to what he's saying. He's saying about a 13-year-old getting them to testify, and we don't make. See, my dad made us at 6 years old. My first knowledge of myself, remember in front of a church.
Right.
At 6 years old,
Right.
I was given the high points from the Sunday school lesson like I was giving a sermon. Now, I didn't become a preacher. I was 16, 10 years later. At 14, I got the call, ran for 2 years. That's 40 years ago. 1985, I accepted the call. August, the fourth Sunday in August, 1985, I preached my first sermon. But at 6 years old, I remember being up in front of the church. They made us. You say, because here's what it is. Now I got to put a scripture into this. Children, the Bible says, are like an arrow in a man's quiver. Wherever he points them is where they're going. What's wrong with our community? We're not pointing our kids to go anywhere no more. We're not directing them to get involved in education. We're not directing them to get involved in trade school. We're not directing them to get involved in the church. We're not directing them to get involved in sports like Lachey was doing. We're not directing them to get involved in positive stuff. Quit telling them just say no, and what do we tell them to say yes to?
Right. Come on,
I
Rick.
never did like just say no to drugs.
Come on.
I preached a long time ago. What did they say yes to? Give them a positive alternative, and then we pointing them in the right direction.
And see, Riggins, those are the things that we have to be smart enough and wise enough to challenge. I've always had an issue with just saying no. What are you saying no to? And obviously, just saying no, it has an effect, but it doesn't have the effect that we think it has, because we got multiple kids saying yes all the time. That peer pressure that's out there, Ron, Riggins, again, we don't. Well, Riggins and I, we understand it because we're involved in on a daily basis. But the vast majority of people, Riggins, they don't understand the peer pressure that these kids are going through on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Okay, you take a kid that's coming from a broken home, whatever way you choose to call it, broken. He's got to go to school shamed, knowing that his mama been probably hit up beside the head, or dad had been hit. So why you think he wearing that hoodie? Because he hiding his feelings. Okay, but nobody is understanding that this kid is hiding his feelings, but yet and still, you're a troublemaker. You're following the wrong crowd. Well, what are you doing? You're not understanding who this kid is. You're not even giving him an opportunity to express who he is, because you're steady pointing the finger at him, saying that you're wrong, when in fact, the adult is the one that's wrong. So I think we need to spend more time on these kids. We need to spend more time understanding these kids, because hell, somebody had to understand me. Somebody had to understand you, Riggins. Somebody had to understand you, Ron. The first remembrance I had of getting up in front of a crowd, which my mama made me do it every day, every Sunday that we went to church. I had to give us what you call an old Tom Thumb wedding. You know, when you had the little kids in the church house and they have a little wedding ceremony. First time out, my mama made me get up 5 years old, Riggins. I used to get mad. But now, this same young kid that was getting up at 5, testifying before committees, it doesn't bother me. So I want to see our kids become more accustomed to getting up in front of the class, talking. Riggins, our kids get up there, they put their finger in their mouth and they move it, because we ain't training them.
Right.
We're
Discipline is
training.
right. Training is discipline. You're right.
Right. Yeah. We're not. And I know what you do. I know if there's a problem that need to be corrected, Riggins going to find his way to that child. He's not going to do it out in the open. He's not going to chastise him in front of his friend. You're going to find the appropriate time and place to address those issues. I think what we got to do, Ron, is start holding some of these parents in. We got to hold them accountable. And if they don't want to be held accountable, we can't continue to point the finger. Relative to some of those parents, what I don't like, Riggins, is this. I see a lot of parents on Facebook always talking about their kid being bullied. that their kid being bullied.
Mm.
And then I turn around and these same people that's talking about their kid being bullied, they supporting the president that try to bully any and everybody they come across. Make me understand that. So when I call you out on that, I'm just stating the facts. Okay, Riggins, you can't be for bullying over here and excuse it, but you're not. It ain't making no sense. I think we got to do a better job. And at the end of the day, man, thanks again, Ron, for always trying to give a platform. Again, Riggins, I drove 6, 7, 8 hours, rode 6, 7, 8 hours to testify for 3 minutes. That tells you about commitment. That tells you that it's not in that pay involved. Drove back, wanted to be a part of the show. It tells you commitment. So you don't have to question nothing that we're doing. I don't think you need to question is how do I get on? How do I become involved? How do I play a role in what y'all doing? Riggins, hey man, I appreciate everything you do. You've been a soldier for a long time. I have the utmost respect for you. You always try to do stuff decent and in order. So I always feel like you're my pastor, even though I've never been to your church. But my relationship with you, it says enough. So I appreciate everything that you have done. Ron, I appreciate everything you have done. And I hope that we can continue to try to, if we can just get to one, Riggins, if we can just get to one, we've done our job. And I'll go to my grave saying that.
Yes, sir. Hey, let me tell you about peer pressure.
Mm.
Nowadays, where I'm at, the students are vaping. A lot of times you'll find them in a group where they're passing around in the classroom. And then you pull them all out and they find a way to hide it or to throw it in a corner somewhere not to get caught. And we have to deal with the discipline consequences of it.
Mm-hmm.
But let me back up. When I was in middle school, they were dipping skull in my small town.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a preacher's kid. I didn't have any skull, but I wanted to fit in. What did I do?
Mm-hmm. Right.
I got candle wax and put it up in here. It was too nasty, so I spit it out. Now, they want to smoke no cigarette. Yeah, I knew that was going to mess with my lungs. I wasn't even knew better than drinking because my grandfather was alcoholic on my mama's side. I knew that. I mean, I'm just telling the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Got to tell the whole story. See, the thing about being real, you don't try to hide behind religion. Everybody wasn't right.
Right.
But I wanted to fit in, so I wanted to dip candle wax.
Mm-hmm.
It was nasty.
Right.
So when I look at these kids and see that they're trying to puff on the plate and hide behind the computer screen and give their friends, they're all just trying to fit in.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we have to give them zero tolerance, consequences and all that stuff. But the harder problem of it is somebody vaping, they want to vape, but then they don't know the synthetic and chemical vapes got something in them that could kill them.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know that these pills they take got fentanyl in it and this other stuff in it might can kill them. So they turn around and take something, and next thing you know, their heart beating real fast. Got to call the ambulance.
Mm-hmm.
But you tried to fit in.
Right.
Because what if I would have choked on that candle wax?
Mm.
Think about it. I was trying to fit in. So the same principle that applied in the 1980s applied in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Pastor, as I listened to you in class, and especially you this time, I got a thought that I remember. We had a family that grew up on the corner of us. They went to Church of God in Christ, and I'll never forget one of the guys. I ain't gonna call his name, was my age, and we went on a field trip with the ROTC when we were in school, and he did exactly what you just got through saying. He never smoked a cigar, but he put the cigar like he had this cigar, and I don't even know where he got it from. But he walked around there because we was in the hotel and stuff, and because everybody else was doing their little thing, I guess that was his way of fitting in. Sometimes, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I never had that. I never had to fit in. I just didn't care. If you did it, that was you. And if I tried it, I'm like you, Pastor. I tried skull one time just because the neighbor up the street, they rode horses and stuff, and they put that skull in their mouth. I threw up so bad, I was throwing up. And I say, never again. That was enough. My godmother chewed tobacco. And that was something that they did back then. You even had ladies that used to put starch in their mouth. Now I never understood that one to this day. But those things, if you try this as a child and you do it one time, I guarantee you'll get away from it. But that vape, they make it easy. It destroys your lungs. That synthetic chemical tears up your lungs. It puts holes in your lungs. So they don't understand. They're not looking at the consequences of it. But a lot of times it's your environment, as Glassman was saying today, in when we was up there. Your environment makes a difference of the type of stuff that you're exposed to. Because and I'm gonna take it one step further. We're getting on kids, but when those mothers go to those shops to buy their hair, a lot of times they're just buying the cheapest thing that's out there. But they don't realize that those companies that's making that stuff don't come by the same regulations that we have in the United States of America. Right. So those girls' hair end up falling out as they got older and everything else. And we thought it was because they were getting those braids and stuff. But come to find out, it was the chemical in the hair because it was dirt cheap, imported in this country. It was dirt cheap, and so they have those bald spots in there. I know we're going somewhere else, but I just need to let you know that some of the stuff that's going on is because of the environment that you're in, and you're trying to fit in, but fitting in is costing your life in the long run. Yeah. And Glass, I know we're running up on probably the 15 minutes, so I'm gonna let you get in, Pastor Riggins. I'm gonna say a few things, and then we're gonna get out of here.
No, Ron. I think everything is going the way it is. We're doing what we got to do. I think you guys have done a wonderful job, and I can't add no more to it. I was always taught by my mama and Riggins. We taught this in a speech in college. When you find yourself saying the same thing over and over again, it's time to shut up. That you're boring the crowd, you're boring the audience. I think for the sake of what it is that we're doing, if people would just try to uplift what's going on, if you would just pay attention to just one of the things that we say, if you look at us as just three average God-fearing Black brothers, you can take something from this. If you just don't judge us by our work attire, if you want to judge us by saying, I wonder what it is that I can do to help those young guys continue to get this message out. I've heard them say that they've been doing it since 12, 13, 14, whatever year it was. What is it I can do to help elevate them? Rather than criticize, what's going on, Riggins, take a proactive approach to this. Because again, none of us have to do this. We do it because we care, and we do it because we have a concern, and we do it because we really want to make a difference. If we can just help one person out of 1,000, we've done our due diligence. If we can help anything beyond one run, that's a home run. Again, we try to always check and balance each other. Again, we try to compliment each other. Every morning we text each other, say, good morning, bro. So there's a lot of things that go on that the vast majority of people don't know, and they don't have to know. So what I'm saying is that you can tell when things are genuine, you can tell when they are authentic, and you can tell when they're fake. You don't see none of us going out there on Facebook, talking about we went here, we went there, we did this and we did that, we helped this person. You don't see. I just looked at Facebook; they got us all on there now. Down at the legislative. I don't have a problem with it, but I wouldn't have put that out there because what I do, Riggins, God see it. That's the only person I'm concerned about. I'm not concerned about what man or woman see, because they'll take it from the positive and turn it into the negative. Hey, look, there's a lot of things that we all do on a daily basis. A lot of things that we do. There's a lot of things that we would like to help other people do. So, Riggins, in closing, man, I appreciate Ron, the guys that always tune in from Baton Rouge, Atlanta, Georgia, and several of those other places that be looking forward to the show, looking forward to the positive content. They're the type guys that are uplifting me, giving good sound advice, giving good critical, constructive advice. I see positivity out there, Ron. So, Riggins, I'm going to yield to you and let you go it on and, put your closing in. But I appreciate from the outset what you did tonight. You did an outstanding job.
I want to say this before you come on, Pastor, and I don't want to cut you short. I want to say thank you, LaShawn, Lachey, for coming on. We really appreciate it. Your perspective was different. And a lot of times we have to get the perspective from somebody that's in sports because you're able to motivate kids. You're able to get kids to understand that their grades are just as important as basketball. And it's just something that we have to do. D, you let me down because you said you was going to come on the show, but you didn't make it. So I'm going to call you out this time. Maybe next time you'll show up. But anyway, Pastor, I had to get that in. I had to get that jig in on D because she told me
we
she was
still
gonna
got
come
about
on the
15
show.
minutes. If you want to come in, I don't know. We still got 15 minutes.
Well,
But
Pastor just gave you an opportunity to come in. Oh, she's sick. She told me she was sick. I ain't gonna even put the message up there. And I heard it, and you're absolutely right, D. I'm sorry. I apologize. Pastor, it's on you.
okay.
Byron Glass, I'm glad you made it. I saw you on the computer, man. I love the fight. Keep the fight up, and I got edge as the people say, I got educated today. I kept it on for almost 2 hours today, just listening. If you want to know what politics are about, how Glass can share the next time that he's going down there to speak, or if he can share the link where they actually taking care of business, you'd be surprised at what our government has the ability to do, what our representative from our area has the ability to do. And basically what they have to do is persuade their people that they're in office with to give it a chance to get to the table.
Yeah.
Hey,
And
Rick,
they question
The
everything
committee
that is
meetings.
there.
The committee meetings is the backbone. Go ahead.
yeah, Riggins,
Yeah.
I was sitting thinking today. Last year in January they called and asked me to do it, and last week they messaged and asked if I could do it again. So I was sitting there thinking, Riggins, man, God working so many kind of ways.
Amen.
Everything that my mom was doing when I was younger, she was preparing me for all this. I have not asked for anything in my adult life. It has always been people have come to ask me, not because I was so good. It was because my mama did something, Riggins. And the only thing I can attribute it to is that she prayed for her only boy. And I prayed for my two girls. I pray for their generation. I pray that, whatever it is that we need to receive. I guess what I'm saying is, Riggins, man, prayer is something that we just don't understand.
Yes, sir.
Amen.
Yes, sir.
Amen.
And let me try to wrap this up in two ways.
Wait a minute, Pastor.
I see what Dale's
I got
saying.
to get this in. I see Dale Summers out there. I love the feeling of helping others, and I appreciate what y'all are doing. Thank you, Dale, for participating. And Glass, I got one more thing to add.
We're gonna get Dale on. I'm working on him. Yeah, he's got a few things going on, but a very good scholar, Riggins, from down in your area, Lafayette. Brilliant guy. I mean, brilliant. Has seen a lot of things. I've been involved in a lot of things and can teach us some things that, thanks to Positivity, he can teach us. So we got an audience out there. If we can just talk to them and spread the word, Riggins, we're gonna be all right.
Wait a minute, Byron Glass. Wait a minute. Sit down, Byron. I want.
I ain't going nowhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
You ain't commenting on how Pastor looking tonight. He got his tie and stuff working.
I was gonna get that in closing. I'm coming right back. Don't go nowhere.
Come on, Pastor. Tell us
Hey,
what you got to say.
well,
Don't close us out yet.
I'm never close it out. Let me first talk. Let's try to come back to the beginning. We begin by talking about the young folk getting involved, even now, even politically. If a youth is 14 years old right now, that means in 4 years they'll be 18. So 18 years old in 2029 meant that they probably could vote in 2028. We need them involved in the political process so they know how to get involved to vote.
Mm-hmm.
If they're 16 years old right now, in 2 years, they will be, well, so let's say if they're 17 years old, next year they should be able to vote for this congressional election, so we can take the power of the Congress to put check on the executive branch led by the felon. I'm not saying nothing that's not true. Led by a felon. So when we talk about these young people getting involved, not only are we trying to get them to do something positive for their own life, teach them how to get involved politically, how to get involved culturally, how to get involved in education, so that they know what the power they have as American citizens, because they want to take that from you. If you could, he could take it away your citizenship. And that power resides in the voting. I'm gonna let Baron say what he got to say, then I'm gonna come back to that prayer piece, because that's how we're gonna close in prayer.
Oh no, Riggins, I think you hit it positively decent. Pastor looking sharp out there tonight.
Oh yeah,
got his pinstripe on. Hey, Mr. Spikes. Hey, Ron.
Yeah, man.
I think we may have to go to the what they call that store with the sharp suits, the matching color shoes and tie and all that. We got to amp up our game, man.
No. Come to town.
Hey, Glass. It's got to be cheap for me.
No. Come to town. I'll hook y'all up. I just gotta get 3 suits for $240. Buy one, get 2 free. Buy one, get 3 free. Also, go to Alan Duplett. You can get them through the mail. But anyway, that's another whole show.
Hey, before we regress, before we go to prayer, Pastor, I want to tell you something. In Glass, I went and bought me a shirt, a polo shirt. I had it on yesterday. Everywhere I went, everybody was giving me a compliment for that shirt. And I was saying, you can go buy all that expensive stuff and won't nobody even notice what you got on. I went and bought this shirt from Walmart, man. Walmart, just a polo shirt. I just like the colors. I buy stuff based on colors that I like. Yeah. And I got more compliments on that shirt from Walmart than anything else. So you can continue to spend that money out there. That's another show. Bye, Pastor. Come on, Pastor. I'm sorry.
Hey, the truth, what he's saying is true. Yesterday was dressed down there at the school, and I bought a polo shirt from Walmart, but it was a deep yellow color. It caught everybody's attention. Like, man, that shirt look nice. So it's not how much you spend. It's if you know how to do it. But more than that, the suit don't make the man makes the suit.
Come on, Rick. Come on.
Hey, because there was a man that went to a funeral last week that wanted to wear a suit to be outstanding for everybody else. They said everybody wear black. He wanted to wear blue to outstand out.
Come on, Rick.
He stood out, looked like a fool, and slept through the whole funeral.
The other part of that is probably the same. If times are passing, that same suit that you wore to that funeral, you can look good in that box on your day in that same suit. You're gonna stand out. You're gonna be in front of everybody.
Hey, Ron.
Yeah, man.
I think it's sarcasm, but it's factual. And just in case nobody don't know, we're talking about the funeral of the Pope. The funeral of the Pope, where there's a protocol, and because this person think that they are God's gift to the world, that they can, man, a fool is a fool is a fool, and you can always know a fool.
Yeah,
I didn't catch it, Pastor, but thank you for clearing.
So the protocol is to wear black. He wore blue on purpose. The only person, only man, even his wife had on black. He had on blue, thinking he can buck the whole system, because he think he's what? The one and only, the most powerful man in the world. And after wearing the blue, now he stuck out like a sore thumb, and then he's gonna sleep in the middle of the funeral.
God have a way of showing you what you need to see. Come on, Ricky, hit us up, man. Hit us up.
Hold on. We got one more comment. I got to get this in.
Okay.
Because Dale took the time to type it.
The orange.
Yeah.
The orange one dressed as a marketing stunt. See, Dale has a way of using words and sentences, Riggins, that are sarcastic, but
Yeah.
they are 100% factual. And see, you have to be intellectual to be able to do that. And we always try to surround ourselves around those comments. So if y'all out there, add him on Facebook, send him a friend request. He'll be glad to accept it. You can look at some of his posts. He don't pull no punches. He don't mince his words. He ain't afraid to say it to whoever. He's went up against some of the toughest people in DC, some of the toughest people that wore capes and robes and all that other kind of stuff. So he's got a background, but I won't tell his story. I'll let him tell it at the appropriate time. Riggins, it's on you, man.
Yes, sir. Yeah, what we do, we usually close out in prayer. And tonight, Baron Glass made reference to prayer, and Positive D put a statement, prayer is everything. So at some point in our life of education and politics, they supposedly took prayer out of school. And what it is, somebody sued.
D in your prayers tonight.
Right, someone sued because they didn't want to hear people publicly pray on a PA announcement at basketball, football games, school events, or over the microphone inside the school. Just because somebody sued for not to be audibly heard over the PA system doesn't mean prayer was taken out of school. Now, what has happened is this. If we try to reinstitute that, well, we want to get prayer back in school. First of all, it never left school. It left the microphone.
Come on, Riggins.
But if you say we want the prayer of the Christian, so to speak, evangelical Christian church to go back into school, well, for civil rights reasons, you didn't need to have a Muslim prayer, a Christian prayer, a Jewish prayer, a Buddhist prayer, and a Hindu prayer all the same day, and whoever else is there. So, watch this. The deal is to have prayer in your home. So that when your baby go to school, Pookie Ray, little Shanae, whoever they might be, walk into that school, they already prayed up.
Come on, Riggins.
And whether they say we have a moment of silence or not, over the microphone, whatever it might be, they know that any time they never have to come out their mouth. What they can do, they can know that they just whisper prayer. But they've been taught by their parents how to pray. So I'm challenging our people. That's why you got to go to church or tune in something about spiritual teaching somewhere. So you can teach your child that prayer still works.
Yes, sir.
So when they get ready to take that test, that state assessment, they feel anxious, they feel like they're gonna make it, they put in the work, they can whisper prayer. When they feel like they're being bullied and somebody get on their last nerve and want to fight, instead of fighting, they can whisper prayer. When the teachers tell them that they're nobody, they won't ever succeed, they're gonna be sorry like their parents, end up in jail, they can whisper prayer.
Come on, Riggins.
When they're on the playground and they're having a dispute with somebody, look like they're about to fight, they can stop and say, wait a minute, let me pray. Prayer still works. Lord, I thank you for the opportunity to share with our audience tonight, because the youth of today is now. They're not the future, they're now, so we can have a future. That was that we can be able to teach them the spiritual principles of prayer, teach them the power of the vote, teach them self-resilience and how to become someone, how to learn, have an education or trade, how to be involved in their community, and most of all, how to have a disciplined life. So they're not stealing, they're not killing, they're not taking shortcuts, but learn to become great men and women. Help us to touch someone. We leave this program, we leave this broadcast, but not your presence. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
I want to say thank God, thank God, thank God. And before we get out of here, I just want to say I'm only doing this a week because a lot of people are asking how can they get the show without me sending them the link. If you subscribe to Two Gents Podcast on YouTube, you automatically get a notification when the show is coming on. So I want to say amen, as D said, amen, amen, and amen. If you want to do that, we don't ask you to subscribe during the show, but if you want to get it because you want to listen to it, every time we have a show, any type of thing that we do on Two Gents Podcast, you subscribe to the link, and you'll be able to get the notification. And we encourage each one of y'all, if y'all got any ideas out there that you want to talk about, trust me, we ain't afraid to talk about it. And lastly, I should say pray for John too, because I talked to John earlier, and he explained to me the reason why he couldn't come on, why he hasn't been on the show. And I fully understand it. That's his business to tell you. But I'm satisfied with his answer, and pray for him, Pastor. We're going to continue to keep John in our prayers. D, we're going to pray for you, and we're going to continue to move forward. We already had the prayer. I'm going too long. Good night, everybody. Y'all have a good night. Welcome to Two Gents. Peace out, Glass. Too short.
Oh, man.